Okay, alright, they're telling me it's good, so go ahead and mute that. Alright, so this is going to be both loops. They're going to be treated as separate runs, so I'm going to time them separately. So the estimate that's on the schedule is for both loops together, but I will not be timing them together. Alright. Get ready to start the timer, and go. Okay, so first loop, this game is still fairly difficult, even on the first loop, but the second loop, which you'll see later, amplifies it by about 10. So, but this game is basically Contra meets V, because there's one-hit deaths everywhere, there's power-ups that you can pick up that enhance your gun, that sort of thing. Give you different abilities. But as you can see, there's also gravity flipping, which is why it's like V. It's a pretty rare game. Last I checked, it was went for about $60 on eBay, which is pretty high for an NES game, especially not an RPG. Which is strange considering it was on the front cover of a Nintendo Power issue way back in the day, and yet it seems like a lot of people just don't know about it. So. So I had the record on this for quite a while, but just recently, Megara found some frame-perfect skips in a couple of later stages, which I will be attempting to do. But I'm only going to try them once, so if they don't work, then you'll just have to watch the auto-scroller. Oop. Shit. That was stupid. That was not how you're supposed to jump through there. Let's try that again. Anyway, so I will be trying the frame-perfect stage skips. Basically, they involve picking up an armor power-up the same frame you take a hit. So that's why they're frame-perfect. If you can get both of them in stage 4 alone, it saves about 4 minutes. But, like I said, they're frame-perfect, so I will not be trying them more than once. Okay, that one I'm gonna blame on my jump button not firing for some reason. That was weird. So first loop is already off to a bad start. So the A power-up lets you take one extra hit and it changes your appearance to let you know that you've got the armor on. And I'll be using that for some, not exactly damage boosts, but invincibility abuse, I guess you could call it, if you wanted to be more precise. And a couple later spots in the game. Okay. That is not how that pattern's supposed to work. Oh, I know what I did. I'm acting like I'm playing second loop, where the pattern is completely different. Good job, me. Alright, where's the... there it is. So one other really cool thing about this game is that it's got really nice parallax scrolling in some of the stages. As you can see, there's something like 3 different layers going on right here. Hopefully that's not completely killing the bitrate on the stream, but... So this is one of the harder stages to get the timing right, but I think I already screwed up by having to go for the armor power-up, since I took the hit against the last boss. But I guess we'll see if it still works out or not. Okay, cool, it still worked. Alright. And then this is the first time when, or this is the second time when I'll be using the armor power-up to get into a better position to kill something quickly. As you can see, I just go straight through him. Doesn't do any damage, but it lets me get into a really nice position to kill him quickly. Okay, so hopefully we're gonna try the frame perfect stage skips. The first one comes up pretty soon here. But if I miss it, I'm just gonna keep going because it's not worth trying more than once, really. Too early. So ideal if you to get the skip there, what happens is if you hit the armor power at the same time you hit the green ball, then it skips the rest of this stage and just sends you right to the mini boss. So that's like saves probably, I don't know, about 90 seconds maybe. Like I know between the two of them together they save about 4 minutes, but I'm not sure how much each individual one saves. So it kind of sucks that I missed that one, but whatever. Like I said, it's frame perfect. So I've been experimenting with a couple other spots in the game where it might be possible to do a skip, but the thing is there seems to be a lot of weird variables that aren't fully understood about like when it works. Because if you use a password to get to this, stage and then try to do it, it doesn't work. It only works if you play through from the previous stage. I don't know if it works if you use a continue. All right, so I'm about to try the other one here. Dang it. Okay. Picked up the armor power up too early that time. But unfortunately, yeah, I haven't been able to spend a whole lot of time like trying to delve into the code and figuring out exactly what makes it happen. But there's one more spot that I know of where it can potentially work. It's in 6-2. I don't know if I'll be going for it because I've only got 1 life left. And if you mess it up, there's a good chance you'll just die. But it doesn't save nearly as much time as the ones in these auto-scrollers would have. So my Twitch feed like keeps freezing up on me, and I'm hoping it's not happening to everybody. Fighting that boss isn't terribly hard, but the margin for error is really tiny, so you need to be careful on him. Yeah, and as several people in the chat are saying, the second loop of this game is ridiculous. Like, up until I beat it sometime last year, I forget exactly when it was, beat it for the first time, I was the only person, I didn't know of anybody who had even beaten it, let alone tried to speedrun it, other than there's a pretty amazing task from the Axeman, but it's kind of old by now. I think it's like 7 years old now. But, timing on that was wrong. That's weird. That's okay. There's an extra armor power-up I can pick up in this next section here. But, so as far as I know, I'm the only person who's actually managed to complete a good speedrun of the second loop, but I'd love to be proven wrong, if anybody knows of a better one. But I know Backslash actually right before Megara found the auto-scroller skips, I know Backslash had actually managed to beat my first loop record by a couple of seconds. But I don't know if anybody else had come close to beating my 12:14 without the skips. I think right now, with the skips, the record is like 11 minutes, but I know that can come down to, like, less than 8, for sure, if you manage to hit all 3 of these skips. So there's definitely a lot that can come off now because of the skips that were found, but just nobody's managed to get a run with all the skips in it yet. That was just a bad fight, but I was trying to talk while doing that. Okay, and this is the stage. Stage is pretty straightforward once you get used to the pattern, but it's very, very confusing your first time through. Oops. Already messed it up. Just a little bit, though. I think I can still recover. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna try for the... If you pick up this armor power-up at the exact same... Shoot, really? Well, that's fine. This is gonna slow down the refights a little bit. If you pick up that armor power-up on the exact same frame that you hit the spikes, it'll skip the rest of Stage 6. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't save nearly as much time as it would as the skips in the auto-scroller. And so this boss, you can only shoot it when its eyes are open. And the floor and ceiling hurt you. Not terribly difficult once you get the pattern down, but doing it fast is can be kind of tricky. Okay, and now onto the final stage, which is nothing but a boss rush. Just to pad out the time a little bit. So normally I'd want to have the armor power-up that I would have picked up from 6-2, and it would speed up the boss 3 refight a little bit, but since I took an accidental hit for some reason, that means I'm going to have to do it the slightly slower way, but it only loses like 5 seconds, so it's not a huge deal. Almost forgot that I'm on the first loop again and started doing the wrong pattern. Almost took a hit. No, the eyes opening are not RNG based, they're purely timer based. So that boss is mostly on a fixed timer. You can speed it up a little bit by shooting it slightly faster, but not by very much. Okay then. Like I said, margin of error is really tiny. So, just like last year, first loop is a goddamn mess, although I think this is even worse than it was last time. Thankfully I don't have to refight all the bosses again. I start where I was, but still. Kind of silly for me to take that hit. Thankfully there's a power beam in the stage that I can pick up. So it's not like I have to fight the bosses with no weapons. So ideally you can kill that guy before he turns red the second time, but it's pretty tight. But the fact that I didn't kill him before he even turned green the second time means that I was actually fairly slow. But whatever. First loop was already a mess, so... And now for the hardest boss in the universe. Plug it in, plug it in. Time! So that's the first loop. We'll watch the not quite credit sequence. And then I'll get started on the second loop. I said it at least 3 times that we were going to time the loop separately. Not my fault you weren't listening. Oh wow. Over 14 minutes? Yeah. Terrible. That was messy as hell. Alright, so to get started on the second loop, I'm going to go back and put in a password for the second loop. Alright, so whoever's on the timer, somebody say in Skype that let me know that you're ready to start the timer on this. So I'm not sure who's running the timer. Okay. And let's see then. Alright, so we're going shortly. What? Okay, see, it does this sometimes. I'm 99% sure this is the right password. Watch, I'll put the same password in again, and I bet it'll work. LLFXRQ exclamation point KT8. See, it worked the second time. What the fuck, game? And go. So, like I said, the second loop is quite a bit more difficult. You can see pretty much right away, if you were paying attention the first time, that there's a lot more enemies. So it doesn't immediately, it's not immediately obvious that this gets much more difficult, but big thing is that enemies have a lot more health and they tend to shoot a lot faster in the second loop, on top of there just being more of them. And also the power-up layout can be quite a bit more unforgiving. But honestly, the biggest thing that makes this hard is... Well, okay. That's okay, because the armor here is mostly for safety. The margin of error on a lot of these enemies just gets a lot more difficult to deal with in second loop. And hopefully, so this guy actually has a chance of killing me in the second loop. It seems to be RNG based, depending on his shot pattern, so hopefully he won't do it here. So sometimes I can shoot him before that second shot gets into my face, and sometimes I can't. I swear it must be like some timing RNG. See, I did the exact same thing the second time and I didn't get killed. So that's why it's kind of nice to have the armor power up there. But unfortunately I missed the jump by just a little bit and ended up burning it early. So the main reason I stepped back there is to avoid the lag from the shots that those guys shoot at you. It's not so much that they're hard to dodge, as that they lag the... Thanks, button. Thanks, buttons. Thanks so much. It's not so much that it's hard to... Ooh, see? Lots of lag. Not so much that it's hard to dodge, as they lag the game up really bad. So I'm not even on the third stage and I've already died twice. It kind of gives you an idea of just how ridiculously hard second loop can be. But that's okay, I've got oodles of backup strats. Safety armors all day. Wow. Felt that one hit my ear. So one thing about the second loop is that there's a lot more opportunity for the game to lag up just because there's more stuff on the screen. Unfortunately, it's not all avoidable. Unlike the first loop where you can basically kill all the lag by making sure you shoot things as they come on screen. It's much more difficult to do that in the second loop just because there's so much more on the screen. So the pattern on this guy is much different than the first loop. To the point where this is probably really the only reasonable way to beat him. because this pattern is so random and hard to deal with. Now, it's certainly possible to kill him faster than that, but because of the very random laser patterns he can give you, it's not really something that's marathon safe. So if I was going for a record, I probably would play that. I would play that more dangerously, but yeah, since it's a marathon and it only costs like a few seconds, it's much safer to just do it that way. Oops, I forgot where I was going for a second. So as you notice, the rail car things. Okay. Oh, come on, really? Screw up the timing on that. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So the rail cars are a lot harder to deal with in second loop, as you can see, because they don't just immediately die. It's very possible to kill them, but it's not an easy thing. And I'm keeping the gravity fireball because it makes the next boss much easier to deal with than bringing in the power beam instead. And also, it makes this part quite a bit easier to deal with because I can just fireball through basically everything. Shoot. Okay, almost everything. That's okay though, because I don't need, like I said, that before, most of the armor in the second loop is actually going to be for safety, not for skips. Okay, why is he not dead yet? There we go. Must have missed the time that slightly. He's usually supposed to die before he shuts his eye the second time. So that's kind of weird. Okay, so the auto-scroller in the second loop is completely rearranged. Everything is in a different place. It's basically a completely brand new stage. And as you can see already, far more unforgiving. There are a million of these spinning mines all over the place. And the mini-boss is a lot harder to deal with, so I need to make sure to keep my armor for him, because being able to do a quick kill on one of them makes him a lot easier. It's certainly possible to kill him without using the armor power or a quick kill, but it's very, very difficult, and I don't feel like trying to do it right now, so I need to make sure to keep the armor power up. Thankfully, basically once I get here, I'm safe though, because those are the last enemies in the stage, and they're pretty easy to deal with. But that section with all the things flying in from the sides can get kind of hairy sometimes. Now, imagine trying to deal with jump roping those guys when they're moving that fast, and you can see why I bring in an armor power-up for that. Now, the second part of this stage isn't terribly difficult. There's a couple of hairy spots, but I don't need to worry too much about, like, preserving my armor. It's mostly for safety again. It's nice to have it for the beginning of the next stage, because it lets me skip one of the laser cycles, but it's only like 4 seconds difference. So, again, while I'd like to keep it, it's not going to be a disaster if I take an accidental hit here. This is one of those situations I mentioned where it's basically impossible to completely get rid of the lag. Shoot. Okay, I messed that up pretty badly, but should be alright though. As I don't take another hit. I think I'm good. Yeah, okay. Alright, so this guy moves a lot faster, and he's got a lot more health, so his pattern is much more difficult to deal with, but it's actually probably safer, because you there's more room to move around because of how fast everything moves, but it's a much more it was a much more difficult pattern to figure out initially, but it's not actually like super difficult to execute. So this is the stage where it's not so much that it's difficult, but it's where you're most likely to lose a lot of time, just because the positioning to kill these things quickly is super precise. And if you miss a cycle, it's going to cost you at least like 4 seconds. Thanks, jump button. I think this controller needs to be put out to pasture. I'm just gonna take an extra cycle there because I don't feel like falling into that guy again. Part's kind of annoying because I gotta make sure to get... Okay, good. I gotta make sure to get to a certain spot in the level before that wave leaves the screen, because it prevents an enemy from spawning that gets in my way, and it's really hard to deal with if he ends up spawning, so it's good that I managed to get over there before he spawned. I don't actually need this armor power, but I'm gonna grab it for safety. Again, safe strats are the name of the game here. But, this guy can be a little... He's just random enough that he can kill you if you're not careful. So it's nice to have a bit of buffer. Alright. So, Stage 6, the layout is actually completely unchanged, but the difference is that the platforms move differently depending on what direction gravity is going, and also in the second part, whether or not you're touching the floor. So, while you can mostly do the same thing, same movement pattern as in the first loop, it's not quite the same. You do have to make some adjustments, like jumping to make sure that like in this part, you have to make sure that you jump so that it holds still at the time you want. Because you want the platforms ideally to be in a certain position to get through the last section quickly. Let's see, I don't think I got it. Alright, that's alright. That went alright. Okay, so it's also very important not to take a hit there, because I really want to keep the armor power up for the boss rush. And this guy is also quite... his pattern is completely unchanged in the second loop, but the problem is that he randomizes which has the most health, and you have no way of being able to tell which has the most health, and he only opens his eye for a very short period on the first cycle. Like, after this first cycle, he keeps his eye open, but you basically have a 33% chance of, or you have a 66% chance of losing a full cycle worth of time because you shot the wrong one, because you have no way of knowing which one you need to shoot. So it's easiest just to be holding down the button as soon as the screen fades in, and just hope that the one you start on is the one that has the most health. Otherwise, you just straight up lose like 10 seconds. And since you have to fight this guy twice, there's like only a 1 in 9 chance that you actually get the optimal RNG. But thankfully, it's not too much of a time loss. like I said, it's only about 10 seconds. Okay, so now here comes the hard part, because fighting these bosses the first time around was rough, but now that you have to fight them all again and only take, like, basically one hit the entire time, and that one hit is on the third boss, yeah, if I take a hit, I'm gonna have to reset and restore from password. Take an accidental hit, I should say. Okay, good. So he gave me a kind of bad pattern, but he also shot in a direction that wouldn't hit me, so it ended up working out just fine. And since I can just do this on this guy, so the truly dangerous part is basically over, although I probably shouldn't say that, because the level 5, the color switch refight can get pretty hairy if I die enough to lose my power beam. But that's fairly unlikely, especially if I decide to play it a little safe. He lived a little longer than he should have, but that worked out okay. I was hoping I would get him to switch into his next form before he shot a second shot, because that's... Oh, shoot. Great, now he's like a completely batshit pattern that I have no idea how to deal with. Okay, I think we're still good here. Okay, that took longer than it should have, but... I only have one life left, and I really do not want to have to fight the final boss without my power beam, so I'm gonna try to not talk too much. This isn't too hard, as long as you can keep the rhythm. Okay, so, unlike the first time around, this boss is actually a challenge. But hopefully I'll get him on the first try. Ah, damn it! Okay. Now I get to fight. Now I get to fight him with the starting beam, which is really obnoxious. Shh. Come on. Damn it! I was so hoping for another smooth run like last year. Oh well. As I said, this guy's actually a challenge on the second loop. Time! Only took me, what, like half a dozen tries? Ah. Alright, that was rougher than I would have liked, but I did it. Good enough. So yeah, so the record for second loop, as far as I know, is still 16:10. I haven't actually been able to improve it at all since last year, but that's probably something I will try to pick up again soon. But since Awesome Games Done Quick is coming up, and I'm on the massive list of people who could potentially be running Blaster Master, I do need to brush up on that, so this game will probably not get a whole lot of attention anytime soon, but we'll see. Alright. I think that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys.